let's say you accepted the position of account executive. Your company called you and said, we need to see that you could get one account per quarter in your marketplace. You got 90 days to secure a probate attorney with no cold calling, no buying a list, no marketing, no emails, no drop bys. You had to be introduced. In other words, you had to really understand networking and the power of the introduction. And you accept the opportunity, and you indeed go out and you secure one account per quarter or four in your first year. Of those four, you close 29 transactions, and your average commission is, let's say, $5,000. That means you made about 147,000 that year. If you take the multiple, and again, the question is, what should multiples be? That's a matter of negotiations when people are buying and selling and coming up with valuations for companies. It's oftentimes between 1.7 and 3. So if you took 150,000 times 3, that's your valuation. We're trying to be more conservative in our estimates by using on the low end of the scale, 1.7 is the multiplier. So if you said you want to sell your business in 84 months, it's a promise to a loved one. You said, when I sell this, honey, we're going to get a $250,000 sale, which is sort of like a pension plan, where you have money coming in after you've relocated out of the area or decided to step back out of real estate. Project 84 equips agents to secure multiple accounts, thereby creating monthly cash flow in eventuality to sell the asset, to sell what you built. It's like 99 point something percent of real estate agents get zero for all the years of being in the business. That's like living in a rental property for 7 years. You move out, you take your luggage, and you take your couch. When you own a business, real estate business, built on accounts, not friends and family, not relatives, not sign callers, but accounts. Again, a single source, an influential advisor, a golden goose. The question is, do you need 1,200 people in your CRM, or do you need 6, 7, or 8, 9? If they're influential advisors, if you're a golden goose, you only need a half dozen or so, not 1,200 people. You can market like you normally do to the 1,200, but the yield from the 6, 7, 8, or 9 will be far greater because it's coming from a single source, a influential advisor in the life of the family that's selling the asset. If you look at our example here, again, 4 attorneys who collectively send you about 7 deals a piece that close that year, which would put you at 2.5 closings at $5,000, would put your market valuation. If you've been able to get about 150 grand for 3 years in a row, you're worth about 250. Let's just take the 5 transactions. If you do 5 probate attorneys or 5, whatever the niche is that you're doing, and your average deal is $8,000, you're making just under 300 grand times 1.7. It puts your valuation approximately at $500,000. About a year before you exit the business, you bring an apprentice on that you believe is somebody that can make sure that you're cash flowing for 5 to 10 years after you left. You wouldn't buy a dry cleaners, let alone 5, without the decision that one day, after they've cash flowed really well for you, created gross income for you, that at some point you were going to sell it. It would have never crossed your mind to own these businesses, to run them without having a payout. Well, the same thing is true of a real estate agent. If they have accounts, if you do 100 deals in a year, family and friends, you probably can't advertise that and get a nickel for it because it's not duplicatable. It's not predictable. But if you have 25 deals from 3 or 4 sources, and you could prove in your book of business, which in Project 84, we've got a book of business for you to track all this, to be able to prove later that you've had a long run of transactions from just a few people. You may have to do out of 100 closings as a regular realtor, you might have to get that from 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80 different sources to close that. Over here, you only need a few sources, and that's valuable. That's a business valuation. There are agents that I've met with over the past few months that never had this on their radar. And now they're like, how do I get 9 or 10, 11, 12 accounts? Any kind of niche like that. And if you're closing 65 in a year, that's just about 5 or so deals every single month that you're closing. Does that seem insurmountable to you? Or even closing 2 deals a month at 3,500? It still gives you a valuation of about 100 grand when you go to sell it. Our hope is that you want to run with us in Project 84, and we'll help you really get equipped to get introduced, because we don't chase. We don't do marketing. We don't do cold calling. We don't buy lists. We get introduced, and we know how to get you introduced to people who are running these accounts. When I landed the enterprise rent-a-car relocation account in St. Louis, that's where the world headquarters is located, I simply asked the home seller of a listing call I was on. I said, Steve, what do you do for a living? He says, I'm in human resources at a company called Enterprise Rent-A-Car. I asked if he would introduce me to the relocation director. Her name was Mei Ling. He did. After several conversations, I was able to secure the account because I asked. And agents are not asking homeowners for introductions. They're not asking their title company, do you know any probate? Do you do any probate business? They're not asking estate liquidators, are you familiar with probate? They're just not asking. Thus, they're not getting introduced. There's a process to this. We'd love to walk you through it. And our hope that your takeaway here is that you want to pivot from being a typical sales associate into becoming an account executive. You're still a realtor, but the way you think about your business is different. Lastly, this column here, it tells you if you want to close 2 listings every month, you need to make sure that you have no less than 3 actives, because this is the funnel. Well, the Golden Goose, is the funnel that gets you listings, and then the listings is the funnel that creates your pendings, which is the funnel that creates your market valuation. So if you want to close 3 a month, this is 37, imagine this said 36, you're going to close 3 properties a month, and a typical probate attorney or any niche will send you about 7 closings. So 7 times 5, 35. So about 37 means you need about 5 referral partners, and you need to also carry about 5 active listings. And just to look at these, you always have to have a funnel. Listings coming in. You can't only have pendings. You have to have a funnel of properties coming in. And through some mathematical equations and algorithm, we have projected how many active listings you should never drop below. Kind of a final word on this. I've spoken to hundreds of agents the past few months who have at this time have quote unquote, I have 2 listings coming, they say. They have 0 right now. Maybe they have 1 or 2, but so many people are like, I got listings coming. If you're in the real estate business and you're looking to, at some point, sell the asset, the one thing you can't run out of, like gas stations, you can't run out of gas. Grocery stores can't run out of milk and bread. There are certain staples that a realtor who is in business is needs to carry listings. Now, you might be on the buyer's side all the time, and that's what you want. Well, you can interview 100 agents, and most likely you ask them, which do you prefer, buyers or sellers? And you only have one choice. You can't say, well, I like a mix of it. It's either, if you had to pick one, which would it be? It's really about 100% of agents are going to pick listings. Companies want you to get listings. All of these niches, the majority of them are geared actually at listings, 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 listings. Now, if you should get an interview with the Fortune 500 company, they're going to have listings for people moving out of the state or out of the country, but you're also going to have buyer opportunities. We had so much buyer controlled business coming from our accounts, BJC hospitals, Employee Relocation Council, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, Boeing, all these accounts we were, Frito-Lay, all these accounts we were doing business with had inbound and outbound business, which forced us to start bringing on buyer's agents who could just all day long drive buyers around showing properties that are buying houses in 3 days. So seek first accounts. And when you get up in the morning, to make sure that you sifted through your CRM and you separated the people that are tied to accounts versus the non-contributors doing just regular deals. Spend time on high yield activities. And at the Golden Goose Academy, we'll show you how to have all these conversations and how to run your business. Our hope is that you join Project 84. Thank you.